good afternoon. Welcome to WESTEC 2017. So great to have you all here. I hope you've been enjoying the show thus far. I really feel this gentleman needs no introduction, but I will go through a couple things here. So for those of you who do not know me, my name's Dirk Von Gaal. I'm the Director of U.S. Events here at SME. Just to give you a little background, SME is an industry organization that really, our mission is to promote and the advancement of manufacturing technology, and also to play a very integral part in the training of the workforce for that technology, much of the technology you see here on the floor. As one of the producers of WESTEC, we know how vital it is manufacturing here in California, but also throughout the nation. And if you ever had any question of that after this next speaker, you're going to be a huge fan of U.S. manufacturing. Just to let you know, our keynote speaker happens to be a gentleman we all know, Titan Gilroy. He's on a mission to bolster U.S. manufacturing. He was a young boxer going through some tough times when a job shop owner took a chance on a young Titan. Titan at that time had no experience with machining. Little did the shop owner know this young man would become a true industry titan. He's now the owner of Titan America, MFG, an elite aerospace CNC machine shop in Northern California. He is also the executive producer and star of the television series Titans of CNC, a phenomenal platform to engage with a new generation of machinists, inventors, and builders. He is dedicated to the next generation and is pioneering the largest free CNC education platform. Titan is working diligently to bring about true change in manufacturing industry. So for those of you who have questions for Titan, we're actually going to show a video before he comes out. But the questions, what you'll do is you'll type in WESTEC 17 to 22333. So that number again, 22333. But and WESTEC there, that will open it up, and you can send your questions to me, and I'll field them after Titan is finished. But I'd like to introduce now the video that Titan has for us to start it off.
So you sent in a letter and you made the first cut. You been in there for a while?
Since I was 20.
Took a man's life drunk in an alley.
Get in an altercation with a gentleman one night who threatened to shoot me and shoot my mother, and came over my house. It resulted in me shooting him.
I learned these skills so when I get out, I could use them.
I got kids out there I gotta try to take care of.
Were you nervous coming in here?
Oh, very.
Yeah?
Yeah.
Do you want it?
I do. That's what I'm doing today. No, I believe in myself.
Do you see yourself changing your life and see yourself walking the walk? Can you visualize yourself as that guy?
All the time. That's one of the reasons why I'm here. I mean, you did it.
For the first time, what I did in the past can now be used for good.
Most guys who have that type of experience, no one ever wants to come back.
To be successful, they need to learn a trade, go out, get a job, and keep that job.
We have a machine shop that's not even being used right now.
CNC machining saved my life. And all I want to do is help them get the same second chance that I did. We have to create a program to make you valuable so you can walk out and get a good paying job.
Now we're looking at the shop trying to decide what should we do.
That one's gone, gone.
Titan is an expert in CNC machine. I'm an expert in remodeling, and we're gonna make this brand new machine shop come alive.
We're gonna get rid of the old machines. We're gonna bring the best technology available. and we're going to build an elite manufacturing facility right inside the prison. Education is my passion. I get to speak at different schools, conventions all across the nation. I get to go to all these amazing companies. I actually run a job shop where we're making the most difficult parts imaginable. My entire life experience has brought me to this point, Titans of CNC Academy.
We're lacking industrial schools, we're lacking teachers, we're lacking curriculum. So that is the vision. It's not just about building a school in San Quentin. It's about using the entire foundation to inspire a nation.
All you have to do is listen to me and do what I tell you to do in the video, and you will know how to run these machines.
You know, I'm a good man. I got a lot to offer.
Designed it, machined it.
So now I'm just gonna go ahead and load the machine.
And now you're holding it in your hand.
This is the finished product right here.
I've only been in here for about a month and a half.
6 weeks. That's awesome.
Thank you.
For 20 years, I haven't seen this type of hope.
I consider myself lucky if I'm given an opportunity to get out.
It's just on you whether you choose to change or you don't, you know?
That's what rehabilitation is about.
We would create a school right in front of the world so they could learn from it and copy the template.
It won't be talking about my past, be talking about my future.
Each and every one of us can see ourselves walking in footsteps like Titan. I consider him a friend, and this is somebody that's coming in and really wants to show how much he wants to help.
He always reminds us that if I can make it, you can make it. And it clicked like, yeah, of course I could do it too.
Me, I never really talked to white boys before I came to this prison. So when I started engaging with him, he was like, put his arms around me, shook hands and all that stuff there. It was like, man, it's a dude from the outside.
I see a person, you know, a very good person.
So when he did that, it was I felt like I was worth something. It was like the best thing that could happen.
He can relate to what it feels like when, you know, times when people die and you're not there for your family and you feel like a loser. And I know that he can relate to that.
We do have a lot to offer if someone is willing to believe in us, and that gives us the tool to kind of believe in ourselves.
San Quentin Machine Shop, yeah!
He is the perfect person to somebody like me.
Standing back here. How's the voice? You guys can hear it? Standing back here getting emotional. I've been to this show many times, and to watch that video that changed my life more than it changed those guys' life was humbling. When I was in there, I'm not there to tell these guys what they did was bad. I'll let the courts do it, but they're coming out of prison. And with my experiences, I'm just going to speak into them and give them a trade that can actually help them not go back in, can help them not commit more crimes to go back in. Give them a viable skill, which is American manufacturing, so they can build something with their hands. I can relate to those guys. I woke up this morning. I never write my speeches down. But I woke up this morning thinking about my mom, who passed a couple years ago, who I used to live in a tent in the bushes with because we were hiding from my father, who was an alcoholic who used to beat her, and she was trying to protect me. She was an incredible artist. She was an incredible person whose life got flipped based on somebody else's actions because they got hurt and couldn't have a job, and they started taking it out on somebody else. We went from a tent in the bushes to an apartment with big holes where we got to put the buckets when it rains and everything. I was happy we had a house. The only problem is when I went down the street, I'd have 6 kids grab me and drag me behind some building and kick me and beat me because of my white skin. I started hating this world. I would draw pictures. I didn't have money, so I'd create spaceships out of toilet paper, the round things and all that. And I'd create strings, and I'd just be creative in my house and build all these different things. I would go through the bushes and create my own skimboards. I was in Maui, Hawaii, and I'd go to the beach and I'd create my own boards because I couldn't afford it, and I would go, and I was very creative. And yet every time I got around kids, they would all of a sudden they'd sit on the bus so I couldn't run away. They would do this, they would do that, and they would just beat me down. I was the ugly kid, I was the unpopular person, and one day I fought back. One day I hit somebody back, and for the first time, I got the respect. And from that point on, I understood that to survive in this world, I had to fight back. And I became a different person. A person who fought and fought and fought and then thrived on what came at me when I fought and I won. That took me to the top of boxing. It took me to a place where I had money put into my account. And then it took me to a nightclub where I threw the same punch that had been thrown at me hundreds of times. And the gentleman fell back, hit his head on the concrete, and I got 16 years in prison. I know I'm a good person. I know that I could have done incredible things, but instead I'm in a lockdown cell 23 hours a day with nothing. I'm 22 years old. I got 2 kids that are a mile away, and they can't see me. And I got rage. There's no way that I'm going to get out of this prison because I'm not going to take it. But let me tell you something. After having a roommate brought in who killed himself in my cell, after seeing all the bad things that happened, I just stopped and I started doing my time, and I started getting into my art. I was transferred into maximum security prison. I came down through the ranks of medium to outside. I worked a pine line, which was the first real job I'd ever had. And I started thinking, maybe I can actually do something. But I've never been in college. I've never actually done anything. People lifted me up and paid me for hitting people. Top Rank Boxing brought me over to Las Vegas and gave me a contract. And then a neighbor went on this rant for 2 weeks threatening my life because I told him to turn his music down. Cops came. The neighbor assaulted police, came after me, and the same punch that put me in prison put him down. But this time I wasn't in trouble. I had nothing. I had no options. This world had nothing for me. But I knew that I couldn't do it anymore. And that day, the very next day, I packed up my car. I moved from Las Vegas. I moved to California, to Sunnyvale. I opened a newspaper. I'm from Hawaii. Let me tell you something about Hawaii. There's a huge, everybody loves it, but there's a huge drug problem. There is a huge amount of people that are incarcerated. In Arizona, they're building prisons to house Hawaii inmates. Why do you think that is? There's no manufacturing. There's no manufacturing. So when you're in Hawaii and you have tattoos on your neck because you grew up rough and you can't get a job in the tourist service industry, what options do you have? If you don't speak the talk, if you know you're a good person but you just didn't go to college, what options do you have? They're falling away, they're going into prison, they're making bad choices, which is what happened to me. I knew I was a good person, but I didn't learn how to be a man. I didn't understand how to accept responsibility, and I didn't understand how to do the right thing. But now when I went to Sunnyvale, California, and now when I opened up this paper and it said machine shop operator, $9 an hour, I was like, machine? Like, is this like a locomotive, like a train or something? Like, what is a machine? Because Hawaii, you just don't have it. And I went to this shop and I walked in and they told me about CNC machining and they had a bunch of Fidels and they were making parts for NASA and Siemens and just a bunch of companies. It was a whole nother world for me. They put me in front of a CNC machine and they basically said, you just take these parts, you're going to put them in the machine. Once you take out the part that's already done and put it over here, and you're going to stand here and you're basically going to keep doing it, keep doing it, keep doing it, keep doing it. And I'm like, how much is this machine? Like $70,000, $80,000? You're going to like trust me with this thing, with this computer thing and all that? And they're like, yeah, just press the green button. Just press the green button. And I would stay there and I would open the door. And guess what? Guess what? When everybody that I knew told me that I was a failure, that I couldn't do anything, that I had failed everything and I was the worst person ever, that I was a convict, that I was this, that I was that, guess what? I never had a car when I was young, and now I'm in front of this CNC machine, and we're making parts, and all of a sudden, like, I'm looking at it, and I'm just like, I'm running and day in and day out, and then week in and week out, and then all of a sudden, they let me start making some little changes. So I had guys there who had 20, 30 years experience that showed me how to put vices on, put stops on, do different things, but this question just came up when I was talking to kids over here. But I had the freedom to teach myself CNC machining. And because I didn't know surface foot and chip load and what you could or couldn't do, I simply said, it's going 100 inches, more like 30 inches a minute. This is 96, right? So it's going like 30 inches a minute. I'm like, RPMs, the owner like doesn't want to put it over like 7,000 because he doesn't want to break the spindle. But what if I actually go up to 9,000? Like go up to 9,000. What if I like take it up to like 60 inches a minute? Sounded exactly the same. What if I go to 100 inches a minute? What if I go to 200 inches a minute? And that's how I taught myself. And I started talking to the owner of the company, and through the whole process, through month after month, this guy ended up loving me because every time he came by me, I was on a new job, I was changing the programs, I was adjusting everything, and basically making him money. So my aggressiveness on the streets, my creativity, which was on a negative, actually put me in prison. Now, on a positive, it took me from $9 an hour in 2 years to $28 an hour and being the shop foreman and making money for my employer, who when I ended up leaving offered to buy me a house. offered to buy me a house. Why is that? Because I had it in my head to compete. I had it in my head to make him money. I understood that it wasn't about me, it was about him and his customers, and I took pride that I used to have people tell me I was great because of fighting, but now because of manufacturing and pushing the limits, they're telling me, you know, good job, right? I left that company. I went through different companies. I hit such roadblocks. I would go into big shops and I'm like, these guys have massive horizontals and they have massive tombstones and they're just on the cutting edge. And I'd walk in and they're just like, brrr. And I'd just be like depressed. I would go on the machine and I'd be like, boom, 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 boom. And I'd tell the guy, like, oh, check out this program. And they're like, whoa, that's incredible, that's incredible. And I'd be like, yeah, we saved all this time and this. You know how much that is per year? And boom, boom, boom. And they're like, oh, that's incredible. And then they come to me at the end of the day before night shift and they say, hey, Titan, I love what you did, but the night shift is coming in. Can you like put the old program back in just for them? Just for them? They thought I was dangerous because I made them money. And my attitude was, I'm going to run this spindle so hard that when it breaks, I'm going to spend $8,000, I'm going to replace it, but I would have made them $30,000, so it just doesn't matter. It's a machine. You have like a $1,200, $1,500 payment, and you can make $30,000 a month on it. I wanted to have my own shop. I went into different companies. I helped this one guy who had no work. I helped bring work into the company. I ended up doing, you guys all know applied materials. I ended up programming this job that they were just like failing at for applied materials. They had boxes and pallets of scrap. I quoted this job, $95 an hour. They came back and they said, can you do this job? I'm like, absolutely. They're like, we need 5,000 splatness on the back and there's a bunch of hog outs and stuff. They're like, can you do it? I'm like, absolutely. They're like, you know what? Put $250 down on your quote. We'll send you your first order for 1,000 pieces. And boom. A couple months later, machine after machine after machine, the parts were intense and we were just making it happen. One problem. There was no more programming to do. So the guy who actually owned the machines decided that it would be better that I didn't work there. And we started having like little altercations and stuff. And at the same time, I'm paying $1,500 child support. I'm like, I can't pay my bills. And finally, I left. I went to another company. Basically the same thing. I built this other company. The same thing happened. But you know what? Who's here from my Facebook group? Oh, what's up? It's so good, right? So I just started a Facebook group. Like, there's 6,000 members in like 5 weeks. It's incredible. But I put this little story up there. They're like, how do we get work? How do we get work? And I say, you know what? Tool reps will love me. Because I'm like, you know what my secret was? It was tool reps. Because they always get taken into the back of the room. Nobody wants to like keep them by the machines. The owner or somebody will take and talk football with them and try to get them over here so the machines keep running. But in my shop, even though I was told not to talk to them, I would just be like, boom, 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 just like adding fixtures and mighty bites and plates. And I'd be so proud, but there's not too many people coming in and stuff. The tool rep would come. I'd be like, hey, what's up, man? What's up? He's like, oh, you're happy to see me. I'm like, dude, check this out. And I'd bring them over, and I'd be like, remember this part? We were running at 20 inches a minute, or we were running at such and such. Now we're running at this, and this is the savings, and this is this, and now we're running 30 parts at a time. And then I just take out this fixture, and I put this fixture back in. Boom, close the door, inspect everything, boom, boom, boom. These guys ended up loving me. They loved me because like the only people that had more passion than them or was equal was me. And when that job fell through and all the promises fell through, and I felt like it was the worst thing in the world, I had to leave that company with zero money, with child support. I left the company because I wasn't valued and they were going to sell the company. I told somebody, one of those reps, that I wanted to start my own company, that I wanted 4 machines. They said, do you have money for a down payment? I said, no. They said, do you have any money? I said, no, but I'm telling you, I'm going to have my own company. Guess what happened? This guy was so impressed with my attitude. Manufacturing has a lot to do with attitude and relationships, that he went out and started telling people that I was going to have my own shop, that I had no money. And people ended up wanting to see me do it because they knew that I had this crazy talent, right? So coming into building my own shop, I actually had 25 different customers lined up before I even had a down payment. But it gave me a foundation to sell to people to try to make things happen. Where's the clock? Right on the podium. All right. I want to make sure, because I just want to talk to you guys about building that company. I got my first 4 machines delivered. There's a guy, Bill Selway, that's around here somewhere, and his company helped me do it. Haas Automation helped me do it. Western Tools and different companies, they helped me get lines of credit when I didn't deserve it. They helped me do things when I had zero credit. They helped me build that shop. I started doing a lot of production work for a certain company. A year later, after making $1 million my first year, they left and went to China. I had another company come. This other company actually came to me and they said, Titan, we heard about your talent. We heard about all the things in this amazing story. Like, we want you to do our parts. We're making these ROVs, and we're making 12 of them. We have to go to 24, 36, 48. We have contracts out to 2017. They put me in front of a screen. They showed me one of their vendors. The vendors, it said for that quarter, $3 million. And they said, if you're as good as everybody says you are, we're going to do this for you. I was like, okay. I went back to my shop and I talked to these guys, talked to my guys. I'm like, we have this crazy opportunity right now. They're going to give this job that nobody can do, this titanium job. And if we nail this, if we nail it, we're going to get all the work we can handle. I always tell people, it's crazy because information is information. So then I went to my desk because, I know everything, right? And I sit down and I Google how to machine titanium. I was just like, but I figured out the tool, and there's a tool for every process. I figured out the tool, and I figured out everything. I walked around with a piece of material. I'm like, this is our future. This is our future. And I would not settle. And I machined it, and I spent 20-hour days, and in a week, I delivered these parts. The owner of the company looked at it, looked at the flatness, looked at everything, and said, Titan, these are some of the best quality parts we have ever gotten, and they're complex. Walked me over to this guy, Rick, who's the buyer, and said, Rick, give him as much work as he can handle. Give him as much, because I'd solved his problem. In 3 years, we went from 1 million to 3 million to 5 million to, at the end, $1 million a month. And we were rolling, and I was so confident. I went from having 4 machines to having 20 CNC machines, having big Toyota horizontal with pallets, just big old spindle, just roughing, $500,000 machines. 55 employees, all my machines perfect, everything perfect, delivering an insane amount. I had solved the problems. I had gone back to the owner, and I got so sick of quoting and understanding how everybody else was quoting and that I was just running differently. I went back to the company, and I said, you know what, I don't want to quote anymore. They're like, what? I'm like, you know what, take the parts that you want me to do, Drop the price that you're currently paying, the labor price, by 50%. Send me the purchase order and I will honor it. And I did. And we were just rolling. And what do you think happened? Some of you guys know the story, but I had to tell this story because where I'm going, I want you guys to get this. What do you think happened? The economy crashed in 2008, 2009. A lot of my friends lost their companies. In one single day, I got a call from the buyer that I was working with, and he said, Titan, this is going to be a horrible day. And I was like, horrible day? What does that mean? And he's like, put all your jobs on hold. I just built this 35,000 square foot facility. I had just put all this stuff in place. I had all these guys working for me. These guys like loved me, and I was like putting food on their tables, and I was so confident. And I'm like, what do you mean on hold? What do you mean on hold? He's all, Titan, I don't know right now, but like all these ships in the Netherlands, we have 2 of these ROVs on each ship. All the ships out to 2017 got put on hold. Therefore, this is going on hold. And I'm like, oh, what do you think I did with my inexperience as an owner? I kept running. I had big money in the bank. We were killing it. I kept running. I'm like, I'm going to shelf all the parts. I got all this material. I got 55 employees. What are they all going to do? Like clean the floor? Like, I'm not going to lay these guys off. I've talked too big. All of a sudden, we're running and running. Like, now it's like a month, and I'm calling the owner of the company. I'm like, what's going on? What's going on? And he's not returning my call. And then more time goes on, and he's not returning my call. And I'm like, now the bank account, you know, with my $100,000 payroll every 2 weeks is like, boosh, 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 like a video game. And I'm literally like, just like, oh, you know, like, oh my God, what do I do? What do I do? One of those sales reps that I just said were so great. Oh, one of them came into my shop and he's like, Titan, did you just hear what happened? I was like, no, what's up? And he's just like, so-and-so just stood at the door. My customer, the owner, stood at the door and just shook 100 hands as he laid off 100 of his employees and sent them. And I was just like, let me take a minute. You know what I mean? Like, let me take a minute, like, and like in my head, I'm good with numbers, and I just calculated my bank, and I calculated this, and I calculated that. And I was just like, oh my God, like I am about to crash. Like I cannot, like I'm about to crash because I took such chances that if the work had come up, I had all this stuff on the shelf, but this like $1 million+ amount of parts is worth nothing. I lost it like that. I call and I even got angry. The guy calls me up and he says, Titan, this is the business. Like, this, what happened isn't our fault. This is happening in another country and because of this other things. The only thing I can tell you, Titan, is you have to downsize. And I was like, what does that mean? And he's like, you got to let people go. You got to downsize. You got to like prevent this and prevent that, and there's things that you can do. And I'm just like, oh my God. I'd go to this bridge and I'll just like pray and I'll just be like, please, like save my shop. Like save my shop. Like, oh. I was so big. I was so getting everybody excited about manufacturing and solving problems and doing what everybody could not do. And I got everybody worked up about this whole thing that we were going to do. And now I had to lay these guys off. My family had food on their tables was going to disappear because of me. I'd be on that bridge and I had been locked down. I had ruined my life. But when I was on that bridge thinking about laying off a huge amount of people, nothing. It wasn't about me. It was about them. Nothing could prepare you for that. I went into my shop after lunch. I looked at my employees and I picked 15. I needed to do like 35. I picked 15. My brothers and sisters, I picked 15. I brought them into my office, and as an owner, I'm thinking to myself, like, how do you do this? I've never done this. I've been successful ever since I walked into this trade. How do I do it? How do I do it? I'm like analyzing. I'm like, these guys are at the machines, and I call this person in, and he goes out and grabs his box and leaves and says he got laid off. And then the next guy I call, he's like mentally like, I'm going to get laid off. And each person's going to be like, I'm going to get laid off. I'm going to get laid off. I'm going to get laid off. Trust me, this is probably not what everybody wanted to hear, but this, I'm going to get to a point that is so important. I brought these 15 guys in. I looked at them, and they were smiling, and they were happy, and they thought we were having a team meeting, and I told them about Thailand, I told them about all these things, and I told them about everything, and I said, I'm going to have to let you guys go, man. But as soon as the work comes back, I'm going to rehire you, I'm going to do this, and literally, people are crying in my office, crying. I go home just defeated, and for the next year, I'd walk this crazy walk, and I'd lay off more employees until I got down to my last 15. Many things happened, and I don't have time to go into all of them. But basically, I came to a point where like absolutely it was all going to fail, and I gave it all up, and I felt like I'd looked outside the box. I tried every single thing in my whole company. Right now, I just knew that it was all going to crush me, and we're going to be done. And I was like, make me homeless, I don't even care anymore. Like, I'm done. I went home, and literally, I talked to a lawyer, and the lawyer's like, Titan, we can do things I was like, this guy's gonna put chains on my doors. I'm making all the payments, but I'm behind. He's gonna put chains on my doors, and once that happens, my customers are gonna leave, and this is gonna happen, and this is we can make things happen. But you have to move your company, and then you can just make payments. And I'm like, that's gonna cost me $100,000 to move my company. And then all of a sudden, I'm just like, oh, this thing's gonna kill me. And I go home, and I'm just like, what do I do? The phone rings in the morning. Malibu Boats calls me from Merced. Not giving you guys customers, but They call me, and they're like, Titan, do you still have the EC400? Do you still have this machine? Do you still have this one and this one? They're like, our machine's broken. We have pallets of material. We have programs, and we're behind on orders. We just need to make all this stuff, and we need it right now. I got a ghost town. I'm like, yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. They come in, they bring material, they fill up my machines, and they pay me $100,000 early, and I move my company. Now I have jumped into aerospace. Now I have jumped into harder metals like Inconel and Monel, and I've jumped into bigger things, and I'm making rocket parts, and I'm doing things. But when you come through that and you look at everything, when you've machined everything, you've programmed everything, there's nothing that can excite you anymore. And I felt defeated. And then one day, I had an opportunity to go to Pittsburgh and talk to the state's parole department. I laid out this speech about service and everything, and I'm just a machine shop owner, right? And all of a sudden, people are lining up to talk to me, lining up. And I thought to myself, I don't even know if I want the shop. I've just been through so much. I I was traumatized. But I knew I wanted to touch people's lives. I wanted to touch people's lives. And coming back to my shop, all of a sudden, I get back to my shop and I'm just like, I don't know what's going to happen. I'm actually a shy person. I don't put myself out there, but I want to make a difference. Of course, I could never do something in CNC machining because that's CNC machining, but maybe I'm going to come over here and I'm going to touch people's lives and help kids that are struggling or something. And then this guy calls up and he calls me and he says, "Hey, Titan, I'm Chad from the Discovery Channel." And I'm like, "Chad, are you calling the guy who went from homelessness to prison to building the greatest American job shop and we need to put it on TV?" And he's like, "No, man, I just need a part." But my head clicked and I started on my journey. Forewarning, I'm just going to go a few minutes late on this, but I started on my journey because I understood from real practical experiences how amazing this trade is, how it can change your life, how somebody who has no college education can come into here, somebody who did terrible in school, he can come in with no education and he can get in front of these machines, he can solve problems, and he can make good money based on his talent, his skill, his work ethic, and his integrity. And yet, I looked at all these shops that I was taking work away from, and I'm like, they're all running at 30% and they don't know it. Everybody, let me tell you, in this industry, everybody talks a good game. Everybody has the gift of gab. Everybody thinks that they're the greatest ever. All this, that's not saying something bad. That's just saying, like, whenever I go into a school, whenever I go into this company or that company, based on their experiences, they truly believe that they're at this super high level. But when I created the TV show to pull back the curtains to show people real companies manufacturing and to show people on TV that we are manufacturing right here in America, I started going to all these amazing schools. I started listening to all these amazing teachers. The teachers are heroes. But I started doing something. I started asking them. When I met them, I said, "What are you making? What are you making?" And they would show me a part or a vise, or they'd show me an iPhone stand. And I'm like, "What else are you making?" And instantly, I saw that there was a huge problem. Everybody's talking about the skills gap. Everybody's talking about everybody retiring. But there's not many people talking about the bigger problem, and that is what we're teaching our children. You see, when teachers, who I have a million friends that are teachers, many of them, they're outcasts in their schools. They don't always say that, but a lot of the upper people, they want the kids to go into engineering or go to be a doctor. They're taking the students and pushing them in a different direction. They give a certain grant or money to the teacher, but then they don't give them enough money to buy tools and material. And it is a serious problem in our schools. And I bet you there's teachers right here that when you're away and you're just talking to guys, you will know that that's true. I saw that it was a problem, and I started talking to people, and I started saying, like, you got to understand, like, because of my experience, like, we've lost our jobs. Like, we've become accustomed to actually fighting over the scraps that are left from outsourcing. And it is a problem. And then not only that, but we're working for scraps. We're fighting each other for scraps, but we're teaching our kids the basics that we learned 15 years ago. Today, we're running 5-axis sub-spindles. Today, we're running live tooling. Today, we're running pallet systems. Today, we're like figuring out processes and running 100 parts at a time. Today, we're able to actually make parts cheaper in this country because of talent. Not just quality, but because of talent. And those are the things that we need to instill into our children, because our children are growing up on iPads. Our children are growing up on cell phones. Our children are part of the whole computer system, and it's second nature. Manual, I love manual, I learned on it. But if I'm going to spend a year, I'm going to put them on a CNC machine and I'm going to teach them how to compete. I'm going to teach them through repetition, so when they're on a machine, they're not like this. They're just like boom, 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 boom. You know what I mean? Because it's second nature. So less than about 1 year ago, I woke up and I thought to myself, I'm just me. But I've been doing the show for 6 years, and I have more media of CNC machining than anybody in the world. Think about that. Think about that. Manufacturing is like the biggest crazy industry in our whole society and in countries. China is building a country, which is awesome. I'm not dogging them because they know that you have to build a country on manufacturing. And yet here, I can ask anybody here and I'm like, who is the face of American manufacturing? Like, how do you learn about it? Everybody will go YouTube, this and that, but nobody's truly stepped up. And that's a problem because we don't have heroes. We need to pour into our kids. We need to pour into our schools. If you are a local company, I challenge you to go to your school and talk to the teacher and talk to the principal and make sure that that principal knows that there's 1 million kids that might be doing bad, but if you get them into CNC machining, it can change their lives. I challenge you to do that. I challenge you to walk into schools. Again, they're heroes. But do you have extra equipment? Do you have extra machines? Are you purchasing? What can you do to help that school next to you? What curriculum are they using? Think about who's making curriculum. If you really think about it, everybody wants to hire for the skills gap, but who is making curriculum? The schools don't know manufacturing, so they go grab an awesome teacher, and he has to put something together on a budget and draw from his experience of working at Boeing or working here or working there. Right? It's a problem. We need the community to come around and to lift them up. So what I did with having the most videos is I created an academy. And I've dedicated myself and I dedicated my team without getting funding for it. I backpacked it on the show. I got an opportunity to go into San Quentin prison. I didn't have 2 years of my life, but I thought, you know what? Everybody wants to argue with me. They want to argue with me. I will go into the school. I will do it on TV, and I will show guys in 6 weeks that they're programming, designing, holding up their own parts, and that it is possible. And you can argue with me, but that's truth. That's truth. Sierra College up in Rockland just built a school. Their monitors are at 72 inches, just like a VF2. Why? Because of the show. The machines that they got certain machines because of the show, because it's a template for everybody to follow, for shop owners to follow. And now what we're doing is we're building a curriculum of actual parts that we use in work all across this great country, automotive and aerospace parts and medical parts. And we're building all the solid models, and we're doing Titan trilogies where we teach you how to design it because they have to know what they're making. And Fusion and the different CAD/CAM systems are so easy now that you can make these models in minutes. And we're going to show you exactly how, because we're not competing, we're lifting you up. And then we're showing you how to program something. Oh, but how are you going to teach the kids 1,000 different tools? I'm not. I'm going to teach them 5 tools. And they're going to follow me as their instructor. And they're going to catch this line and that line, and they're going to come in with a key cutter, and they know it because I told them it. And then they're going to go to a CNC machine and they're not going to be intimidated because they just drew a part. They just programmed it. It's 5 tools. They know the levels. They ran it through simulation. They get it. They did it in a day. And they're going to walk into a machine and their teacher's going to help them stone the table, put the vise down, indicate it, teach them the basics to set the whole thing up. And what do you think is going to happen? They're going to have success. They're going to make that part. Then and that's going to give them confidence. And then they're going to go to the next one because it's repetition. Next part, next part, next part, next part. So the Academy has curriculum. Any school can have it for free. So I'm just telling, I'm advising everybody, I'm challenging you to get involved with your local schools, lift up your teachers, donate tooling, donate all of it. I'm like going off because I got a lot to say, but I'm out of time. So thank you very much. Woo! Thanks, man.
Unbelievable, Titan. Thank you so much. Just the passion that comes from you, it's infectious. I swear to God, it got me. So thank you so much. We did get a couple questions from the group. I know that it was such an enticing story that I'm sure no one was thinking about questions. So, but really, and you touched on it here, a lot of, as you spoke to the students here as well, how about those students who are already sort of in high school, what have you? Where's the direction they should go? I know you mentioned about your academy, but should they make the step into college? Should they, where can they really make this happen?
Well, I think that the Academy is a great tool because there's all the TV shows, all the videos. You have tutorials that actually teach you how to make models and stuff. You can download software for free. And by them actually doing things at home and designing things, they can get a feel like, does it click? Do they like it? And if they like it, and they like the videos and they see everything, then they should go to their school and see if they have a program. If they don't have a program, go to the local college and go to different shops and just get to know the industry. Excellent. Get on social and ask questions.
No, excellent. And then also, your video before, when you got these guys into the machinery and everything like that, did you start to, I mean, to me, just as I said, the passion coming from you, did you start to see them believing in themselves and really getting that passion too? I mean, must have been phenomenal to watch.
Let me tell you something serious. I went 2 years building that. I went over a budget. I took my own money from my own account. I took my shop money. I figured it out. Coming to the end of it, my insurance dropped me. They dropped me because they said I was risking my life going into a prison. And then I had to go to state fund, and they went like 4 times more expensive on my workman's comp. And I told them, you don't understand. When I walk into this prison, nobody would have ever thought, but when I walk into this prison, I'm the most protected and the most loved guy in that prison because I am bringing hope. I'm bringing education. And when other programs sit there and babysit these guys and they have no viable way to take care of their kids and their wives, they see me as a license to gain that hope to actually be successful. Because regardless of what people think, they want to be successful. And it's frustrating when you don't have an option. I was giving them hope. I was giving them that option. And as soon as they started buying those machines, they just started changing. Each person through the whole process became a better man, a better person. Outside the door, the shower stalls, there's no border. It's just boom, 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 boom. The first 3 is white. Next 3 is black. Next 3 is Hispanic below Bakersfield. Next 3 is, if you go into the wrong stall, you get shanked. That's real. And the benches, only certain people can do it. But when you cross into manufacturing, you have black, white, brown, you have men, young and old, getting the tools to have a successful future and hugging on each other, being taught by a big old white dude with tattoos, you know what I mean? Like, it's just an amazing thing. It's just men, and that's what I saw. They became men, and they're awesome. They're my friends. I actually offered one of the guys a job who's getting out.
Oh, phenomenal, phenomenal. And just hearing that, what you've done for those guys, how about those who have been in the industry a while and then, you know, didn't take that road, obviously, but maybe out of work, looking for new skills, that kind of thing. Do you have some advice for them, the ones that who have been in manufacturing and now need to re-educate, retool themselves?
So I just started a Facebook group. I didn't really think about it. I got 20,000 people online. I'm already talking to them all the time, driving my wife crazy because I'm just constantly like answering questions and stuff. Then all of a sudden, I'm like, you know what? I'm just gonna like choose Facebook because it has like I already have a big following and stuff. I'm gonna do this group. And you know what? Like 6,000 guys are on there, and a lot of them are amazing machinists. Some of them are middle of the road. A lot of them are students and teachers. And it's like now they're just going on there and they're feeding off each other and learning. You can say, what's the dial indicator? You can put it up there. What's this? What's that? And there's going to be people from all over the world that are like all positive, and they just answer those questions. So I would suggest that if you're middle of the road and you want to like get back into it, or you want to step up, join the Facebook, get connected. We're doing small groups where we have leaders all over the world that are opening their shops to Academy members, where they can actually at night, they can do everything, but they don't have a machine, so they can actually do the CAD CAM and then go to somebody's shop and actually make a part from the Academy, and we have people just stepping up. So small groups, get in contact with us through the Facebook, just get into the Academy and then get connected, and you just end up meeting the world, man.
Phenomenal. And I got to say, such a synergy, because us at SME, AMT, whatever, you know, nonprofit organizations, but truly we are sort of the ones who are trying to promote education and trying to keep up with that new technology. So I would love to get offline with you and get some synergy, awesome, trying to figure it out.
I got a lot to say.
Yeah, no, exactly. But I
can
can't.
I say one little thing real quick?
You got the floor. Yeah, you got the floor.
A lot of students come to me, a lot of people have seen in social, they've come to me and they're frustrated because they can't get a job after they get out of school. Because a lot of shops have a 5-year minimum, which of course they do, because they haven't seen kids come out that actually have the skills to not be babysat, to actually help lift the company up and do what is the most important thing, make payroll, right? So when I'm talking education, I'm not talking just, hey, we need to educate our kids. I'm talking about taking education to the highest level and teaching them what will help lift companies up, so shops will have confidence not to have that 5 years, to embrace these kids coming in. I just want to make the point that you guys get exactly where I'm coming from.
Thank you. Yeah. And then also just 2 last questions here. There's a bunch here, but I just, we're running out of time. Sort of when you're hiring an employee, what are some of the characteristics you look for? Obviously,
talent. I mean, let's be truthful, right? When somebody comes with a certificate, when somebody comes with a piece of paper, when somebody comes with whatever, I don't mean to be like that, but in the real world, we've seen too many guys fail. I want to see somebody that can show me parts that they actually made. They can show me tool paths. They can tell me how they save time. They can talk about surface foot and chip load. They can show me that they're aggressive and they have the right attitude. I want to see somebody who's honorable, who has integrity, who loves this industry and wants to put the work in. And I want to feel the passion from them. If they're young and they don't have all the parts, I want them to say, like, all I need is time. I'll take books home. I will do whatever it takes. I'll get there early. I will leave late. I will do whatever you guys want, but I'm hungry. And that's how I'll hire somebody who doesn't have the experience.
That's so good. And just for the group out here, your Facebook page, what is the...
So my Facebook page is Titans of CNC. That's my main Facebook. The group is Titans of CNC Academy, and then it's Titans of CNC Academy up online, which is academy.titansofcnc. It's 100% free. And it's cool because what we're doing too is we're taking like the tool list when I teach you, we put the tool list right into the CAD CAM, so you use the same tools that I'm using, so we're not reinventing the wheel and we're being efficient. And you basically just go on this journey to learn how to manufacture parts, cheap and efficient.
All right, Tyson, thank you so much, everybody. Let's give a round. That's awesome. Unreal, man.
Thank you.
Love the passion.